right, so before I start getting hate, and I recorded this one, thank goodness. Um, the Cubs are the love of my life. Outside my family and my kids, obviously, everybody knows that. The Cubs are the love of my life, and everybody that knows me knows this. I was one of those guys that the YouTube videos were made on me crying when they win. It was great outside of my family and marrying and births of children and so forth. Greatest day of my life, hands down. The Cubs winning the World Series. I'm frustrated with the Cubs, and I think as most Cubs fans are, how they squandered that young team, young talent, and only had one Super Bowl or a World Series appearance. It was a really great stretch run. My feeling is after the Ricketts won, they had really no incentive, and they really didn't before to win because Wrigley is Wrigley, and the Cubs are the Cubs. They're going to draw. If you've never been to Wrigleyville during a game, or been to Wrigley Field, people are going to show up regardless. That wasn't always the case, obviously. It's changed over the years. But right now, there are, I don't know how many bars within a 10-block radius, over 100, restaurants and some really great places, great food, great specials, great atmosphere. The Ricketts put a lot of money into Wrigleyville and making the plaza and everything even nicer out there. But what's their incentive to win? They were Cubs fans and they got their World Series title. I don't know how much energy or how much hunger there is left. Now they're, just bought a soccer team, which is, whatever. I'm frustrated. I hate to see the guys go. I hate to see Javi go. I hate to see Chris Bryant go. I would like to see them keep them together and see what they could have done. It wasn't working, to run its course. Last year they finished 71-91. Obviously not a great thing. Their farm system is rebuilding, which is something, that it built on with Theo coming in. And now Jed, they have a ways to go with their farm system. They're not showing me a whole lot right now. Their payroll is still, relatively high. It's mid-pack at 141 now. So it's mid-pack. They have some money to spend. I don't know. Frustration. The fact that I'm using Nico Horner as the picture for the Cubs says something. Yes, I could have used, Willie Contreras, which again, I don't expect him to stay along much. He's their big trade bait. I'd love to see him stick around. I could have used, Jason Hayward. I could have used Kyle Hendrickson. This team is not going to be great. And I hate it. I originally was thinking, I was thinking before I really dove into it, just my heart thinking that they were going to have a better year, and maybe finish second or third in the division. I just can't see that happening. They got some young talent, Brendan Davis, hopefully we'll see soon in the outfield. But, picking up Suzuki was a great pick. I loved seeing that. They dig up Simmons. Nick Madrigal's a fun player to watch. He'll be definitely a player to watch. Patrick Wisdom had a great year last year at third base, but he strikes out a ton. Let's see what he does this year. Hopefully Ian Happ can put things together and have a solid year, consistent year all the way across the board. Frank Swindell, again, playing first base, he strikes out a ton. So we'll see. Rafael Ortega is a nice center fielder, but again, these are not the names we're used to as Cub fans. I think their major league lineup is not horrible. I think there's teams that have worse lineups. Some of these younger teams and bottom dwelling teams, but if they get career years, if Jay Hay has a career year and Simmons has a career year, Wisdom can do what he did last year. Ian Happ becomes consistent. They could finish in third. I don't think they get any higher than third. We'll see. Pitching wise, they picked up Marcus Stroman, Wade Miley, Drew Smiley, David Robertson as a closer, Alec Mills. This team, this pitching staff is, I think what I write down yesterday, I had something for the Cubs that I was gonna say. As I did a deep dive into the Cubs. Yeah, I mentioned the Ricketts, the atmosphere, no one to them to win. I did want to mention the statue of Fergie Jenkins is being revealed. So that's a cool thing to go along with the other ones there. Yeah, their pitchers had the slowest fastballs and changeups in the league, right? They had the lowest spin rate in the league as well. As a result, is their bullpen is so weak because of it. I mean, if you have the fastest fastball and changeups in the league and lowest spin rates, your staff's not going to be that strong. So there's not a lot of diversity in this lineup. They can't mix it up a whole lot. You're seeing the same thing every day from the Cubs pitching staff, and teams are going to tee off on them. They have to get some young arms in there and try some things out and mix things up, because these guys all are basically the same pitcher. They're pitch to contact hitter or pitchers. They're not strikeout pitchers. Not that you need all strikeout pitchers, but if you have one Kyle Hendricks or two Kyle Hendricks on your team, great. But this is all facing the same guy day in, day out, and teams are going to light them up. That's why I can see, and I'm going to get hate from all my Cub fans. They're the love of my life. Remember that. I can see the Pirates surpassing them. I can. They were 10 games back of them last year, and they're kind of up and coming. The Cubs need to rethink and reevaluate what they're doing with their farm system, make some further commitments. I think you maybe need to bring new people in. I don't know if Jed Hoyer's the answer. It just seems like they don't have the same hunger and same thirst that they did when that group came in. It seems very stale in Chicago, which is really frustrating. These are some guys you're going to see again. Hopefully we see Euchert and Roberts again. They have to mix it up pitching wise. This is just not going to. If they go through the league the year with this staff, they're going to lose 100 games. I mean, you can't have a pitching like this staff like this in the major leagues these days. You just can't. Teams are just going to feed off this pitching. So we'll see. Brendan Davis, Miguel Amaya. That's why I think you might see Willie Contreras move at some point. I'd like to see Caleb Killian. Again, I haven't seen who they kept and who they didn't. Because I didn't look at it that closely this week because of everything else going on. But Alfonso Rivas too, somebody you're going to see. I would like to see him sooner rather than later. Frank Swindell is not the answer at first base. So again, it's going to be a frustrating year for the Cubs, and not a ton to look forward to right now. Like if I'm a Pirates fan, there's a lot to look forward to. You have a lot of young talent. The Cubs are 13th in farm system, and I think maybe even sinking lower than that. They're definitely not on the rise there. They might be stagnant or lowering. I don't see them making a major jump. They don't have a lot of organizational flexibility, which I've talked about in other episodes, to make a quick fix with their system or at the major league level, which they wouldn't do anyhow. So we'll see. I'm going to be watching this team like I always do, and watching for these young guys, seeing how these young guys develop more than anything, rooting for some of these minor league kids to get a chance and see what they can do. I can't see them making a trade. Now, trade deadline, what are you going to do? If Marcus Stroman is having a good year, could this be the year we see Kyle Hendricks dealt at the trade deadline? It certainly could be. Wilson Contreras, Jason Hayward, if he's having a great year, I'd hate to see him go. And I know he gets a lot of hate for the big contract he signed, but I love that man. He's a great guy, and I'll have him on my team any day. I think he's just a great clubhouse leader, and love him on the team. And I don't know how much of a trade asset he would be unless, some injuries somewhere else and so forth, or unless he's having a really great year. So hate to see him go, but, they do have some, a couple pieces to move at the trade deadline to acquire some younger talent. They're going to have to spend some money. They're down to 15th in spending. They had money to spend, and, they didn't go out and really make much of a difference on this team. I know they got Simmons and Stroman, and they did, pick up Suzuki, which I think is a great pickup. I think he had a hit or 2 hits or something yesterday. So we'll see. It's going to be a long year for my Cubbies. I'm going to be there every day watching them and rooting them on. But I have realistic expectations, and there's definitely a part of me that's really sour that we went through that stretch with all that talent and squandered it. Yes, we got a World Series win for sure. I mean, that was, again, the greatest day of my life, but we should have had more appearances. We should have been stronger those next 2 years. We were close the year before. I think they mishandled a lot of things contract-wise. Obviously with Chris Bryant and so forth. And I understand Chris Bryant's skills had deteriorated a little bit, but you got to see if you can right the ship with him. He was the National Player of the Year in high school. He was a National Player of the Year in college. He was Rookie of the Year. He was MVP in like a 6-year span. That's not just a fluke talent. And he was fighting through injuries on this team. So how well they handled the injuries as well, something to kind of look at as well. Anyway, I have the Cubs finishing at 79 and 83, third and tied for third in the American League Central. So there you go. I think this is a really optimistic view. I think this is my homer view and my love for the Cubs view. It would not surprise me if they finish last. It would not surprise me if they finish last if the Pirates catch them. If they win 71 games, if they won 65 games, would I be totally shocked? No, especially if there are some injuries in here. Would it shock me if they won 85 games? It would totally shock me. I don't think this team has 85 wins in them with that pitching staff, unless they do something drastic and sign somebody huge, which I don't see happening this time. Their pitching staff is going to be feasted on. I don't see any way that they win 85 games. I think 79 is a big stretch for this team. That was just me being optimistic and being a Cubs homer. So I have them tied for third in the American League or National League Central. Let's move.